You saw and it's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia, like this disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as destructive and violent. Recently, they even started adding moaning and groaning sounds to the V2K and started putting actual creaking sounds directly in the walls to make it sound as though people are having sex. And I was able to audio record these rhythmic creaking sounds and have submitted this file to the commission. Or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos in my closed eyes. Specific foods or things. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. Sneeze excessively to threaten more sexual assaults. I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me, as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions, despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow," that it was time to do more work. Right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me. A while back, I had a 4-year-old client, and she was correct every time. And since the V2K uses colors as symbols for torture as well, they were using this to threaten more severe torture in me. My head talks about masturbation. They talk about masturbation frequently and other sexual things. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me. A while back, I
Sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned.
Recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
Sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned.
UK is not as loud as it used to be before. It's more stealthy. Like, they turn it down a notch. They turn it down a lot to make it appear as though the thoughts in my head are actually mine, which I know they aren't most of the time, because these people are very perverse, and they have hatred towards targets for some reason. I don't know.
It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia, this disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care. I just don't want it.
E2K, or voice to skull.
Sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned.
Recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
All right. I'm just listening to these people telling me how I'm going to get raped and everything else. Is because they want me to subscribe to the manipulation they make me have. You just heard a few videos before, right? There's a pattern here. There's a pattern when it comes to the manipulations. These people do this pedophilia type of torture. They've been having issues in this pedophilia shit for a while. He's here. There's different agencies from DARPA, CIA, and everything else that that has been having an issue with pedophilia, and they do this manipulation where they force people to have these disturbing manipulations and want them to subscribe to this. These people are run by pedos. There's a pattern here. Patterns from DoD, DARPA, and CIA. That's why they do this kind of manipulations. Now, with me, they try to make me believe that these things I'm experiencing is natural. Matter of fact, there was a commercial just not too long ago for dogs or whatever order. Somebody was playing. I don't know if it was an adult or whatever. This started giving me stimulation. I have no idea who the fuck that person is. Stimulations, like as if it's natural, and they're supposed to make you subscribe to these things. Look at this. They make you subscribe to these things, and they like to call me their pedophile. These people, as you can see, have issue with pedophilia. And when I mean these people, I'm talking about these agencies, and right now they try to stimulate me on everything. Look, there's a little. Is that oh my gosh, it's not even. She's pushing something. But and so they do this pedophilia type of torture where they make you feel so nasty and disgusting. They make you have these different thoughts, forced thoughts, as Jackie said, as Mariana has said, even that man said. Like they force you to have these disturbing thoughts, but with me, what they're trying to do is to try to make me accept these thoughts, these reactions as if it's natural. Of course, I know it's not natural, but your whole ecosystem is forcing you to try to accept this. So you have to be strong. This is why I make these videos, because these people want me to be like, oh my gosh, she saw me. What happened to me? Of course, I know it's what they do. Wait, is it a coincidence that somebody else is saying the same thing? This perverse story, this pedophilia, especially Mariana said literally, they force her to have pedophilia type of torture. And you see these people who are supposed to make you subscribe. Like, no, it's you. I'd rather die this way than be involved in this program that do these things. But not only that, you heard Mariana talk about how they torture these kids sexually. 7-year-olds suffocating. A 7-year-old kid with autism that they suffocate using this DARPA weaponry, this direct energy, that they do this to me. I know I had this suffocation for like a minute or two, not a minute, but like they did it a few times. But imagine a 7-year-old. This is what they do, right? And they want you to accept these manipulations, this weird feelings and sensation they make you have. And it's like, no, it's you. In the last short videos, I was talking about how they made me feel about this little black girl that was holding like a punching bag, right? And they were like making me feel this disgusting pedophilia thing, like like Jackie said, this disgusting thoughts. And then try to rationalize it. It's like, no, it's because she's vulnerable. It's like, remember when you were a kid? And like, no, listen, I'm a grown man. I'm an adult. Sorry, not even call myself a man because apparently they want to demasculate me. I don't. My being has nothing to do with my gender. I don't care as long as I respect myself to never do the things they do. I am a grown adult who knows who I am, and trash. I will never let them live this fantasy. They can trash me, but they are the trash. These people have been doing this pedophilia type of torture. They manipulate people, and they want people to subscribe to this. With me talking is not going to change what's going to happen. It's not. I understand that, but the people involved in this will not leave or escape in their fantasy. They create these battles and manipulations to stop you from being in real world. For example, this commercial, and I can't even show that this is weird. It's about pet odor or something like that. And there's this person playing with a dog. I don't know where it was quickly done. I couldn't even see exactly what that person was. They start stimulating me because is it a kid? Is it a woman? Is it an adult? I don't know. But they forced me to have stimulations, right? The reason they did this is because they were trying to counter me from listening to the issues in these agencies with pedophiles filled in these agencies from DARPA and CIA. People doing things to 2-year-old and 6-year-old. Nothing happening to them because it's their court. So for me, I'm like, whatever's going to happen to me, at least I didn't sell my soul to pedophiles. There's dignity in my death. I know why these people can say Roy Moore. Well, they stimulate me on commercial just randomly. 2 seconds ago, they stimulated me on somebody pushing, I think, a chair. They're people, they're delusional trash. They live this fantasy where they I will not let them live the fantasy. They torture children. They are torturing a lot of women. They play the feminists when they are here doing horrible things to people. I will not let them live their fantasy. For all the women, for all the children, for all the men, they've been responsible of torturing and doing horrible things with the pedophilia type of torture and other types of torture. I'm thankful that I didn't have to live like this trash. And they want to live this fantasy like I'm going to let them do that. Never. These people want to live this fantasy when I know all this information. That's why I keep bringing that up. They are going to have to damn themselves. And right now, they almost try to. I'll never let them live their fantasy. They know what they signed up for. They wanted to live this deluded fantasy. Now look at them. Bunch of pedophiles have run the show. One, there are plenty of testimonials from men, women, all around the world saying they do this nasty manipulation. They force you to have these perverse thoughts and perverse things and stimulations. And I could have gone on and on about even how they crank up the libido, all of that. And you hear this bottom feeder say, "Oh, your organ blew up," just to disorient you, just to make you think about what they're doing to my organ instead of what they're doing to my even instead of mine. These people are blue life weak trash, screaming behind those doors. And they're like, "Oh, listen, I'm gonna die like this. I'm okay. Death is honorable this way." Can you imagine living my life like them? They try to delude themselves. Like when I open the door and I see them for what they really are. Death is honorable. My death is honorable. This is the way I could have lived. These people are delusional to think I'm gonna let them live their fantasy. Never gonna let them live their fantasy. You sold your soul to pedophiles. Now you're here trying to make me subscribe to this. I could look at them and call them pedos in their face, and they know that. No matter what they are. With all the torture they've done to people, they even caused mass shootings. These trash are bottom feeders. Weak low lives. Call me our pedo. Yes. Why is there so many pedophiles in this intelligence community? Yes, even DARPA. You know the agency that create these weapons? That makes you God, that makes you look at your phone and pretend like they're delusional trash. I will never let them live their fantasy. And to all my target individuals, don't let them live their fantasy. They tell me how I'm gonna cry. Okay, I'll cry because I'm being pain. That's a reaction that's normal. They say I'm gonna scream. Okay, yes, I'll be in pain, so I'll scream. But thank God again that this is the hell of life I had to live. Thank you, God. This is the pathetic life that they're living. Happy as they are. Working for pedophiles, trying to make somebody subscribe to these things. All the manipulation they've done. From the black little girl, whatever. I'm opening the hallways like, can you imagine this in my face? You think I will let you live your fantasy? No, I rather starve to death than do what they do. And it's funny, like, starve me. It's like, what? Do you think that's what I want? They're so pathetic. They don't even understand. Like me starving them is something. Like what? Why? Why would I give a fuck about starving you? Why? What? You who even doing things to me? Why do I even care about you starving you? Oh my gosh! Oh, I wish I could starve you. Oh, how I could be sitting in the apartment doing nothing but watch you and break you down and put pedophilia thoughts in your head and be at war while wearing my PJs and starving you. Because then, what a pathetic life. Nasty retards. They live a pathetic life and they really want me to be like envious of that. Why? Who the fuck wants to live like this? Sorry for the language. Starve me. It's so sad. I could be living life. I could be doing something with my life. Now, you think I want to be working in the program where they force people to think this way? You can't even say Roy Moore, a pedophile that picked up kids. Look how powerful these people are. Roy Moore. This pedophile. They can say nothing. Filled with pedos. They've been humbled beyond end. I can't starve you. Listen, maybe I can starve you, which thankfully I can't. I don't want to do that. But listen to what I can say. Roy Moore You understand? I want to know always and say that. I can't starve you. Thank you. I don't. That's not something I'm interested. But I can say that. I'm not gonna. I don't have to say rot more, door more. I can say that with no problem. I'm a nothing, I guess. So I'd rather die this way than live the way you guys live. Trash.